Hello, Rafael.
Hello, teacher. Good evening.
Uh,
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. I found that
Okay.
I forgot to add the link for the meeting today, and I was very confident that I have already done it.
Yeah. Well, teacher, I want to take the opportunity to take advantage of the opportunity to tell you that I sent you a message. Did
Yes,
you read the message?
yes. Have you ever
Okay.
read?
Well, teacher, I
Okay.
hope.
Did you read my two messages? I
My
mean,
goodness,
I mean,
I
enter to the
haven't.
enter to the forum, and I wrote.
Oh,
Okay.
teacher, I just that I haven't entered to the forum yet.
Don't worry about that.
Thank
Yes,
you very much.
I was working on that right now.
Thank you.
Okay, don't worry about that. Hello, Wilton. Carolina, how is everything? Sara Inés,
Hello, teacher. Everything is okay. Thank you.
everything is okay? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, I have already comment on your lesson plan. Okay, Carolina?
Okay, teacher.
Just as a comment and a question, I think that I
Yeah,
want
I
you.
saw. I just saw it that you were talking about how I will like work the critical thinking on my lesson plan.
No, that's not my question.
No.
No, my question is different.
Okay, so I will check it like with more time because I saw it like very quickly
Don't worry about that.
before coming to class. Okay.
Okay, right. Don't worry about that. It's just
Okay.
because of the way that you use critical thinking in the objective. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
actually, that question made me think that we have to discuss before finishing this semester a little bit about critical thinking. Just a little bit, right?
Okay. That would be great.
Yes,
Okay.
because sometimes I am not saying that you don't understand what critical thinking is, but sometimes we can confuse critical thinking with another thing. Because what happens in education is that most of the times we use words very often, and then we just use it, right? So I would like to share some information that I found. So I'm going to start right now, just to see here. Yes, and before continuing, Sarah, I have already commented on the videos. So I have been checking the videos little by little. I haven't finished, but some of the videos are already commented. The videos, the second round of the videos. Okay, a lot of work for next time. Okay, let me see here. I would like to share this information because I found it interesting, and it is an explanation of what critical thinking is, just to have an idea of critical thinking and how it works, right? Because sometimes we think that a critical thinking could be something that it is just present, yeah, just present. But here we have this uh, definition, and it says that critical thinking is reasonable, reflective thinking that is focused on deciding what to believe or do. So if you pay attention here, the critical thinking goes even beyond the language. It goes towards the decision making of a students or the beliefs the students have, right? So how students are going to be able to, I mean, goes even beyond that to be able to, right? So focus on deciding what to believe or do. So if we continue reading here these definitions that I found, it says that critical thinking, it is a grappling with open-ended problems. It means it is very connected with open-ended problems. So we tend to use critical thinking to solve problems. Yes, remember, beliefs, actions, and now problems. So effective personal and professional functioning requires dealing with open-ended problems that are fraught with significant and enduring uncertainties about such issues as the scope of the problem, interpretation of relevant information, range of solution options, and potential outcomes of various options. So here we have some words that I found interesting, and it is this one. For example, it says requires dealing with uh, interpretations. So there is a mental process that is interpreting solutions. So this is another one that it is solving, and this one that is also solving. So we have here, we can see here that this critical thinking, as it is thinking, is related to mental processes. But those mental processes are higher level, right? I don't know. Okay, we are going to see. Let me check this one. It is it is an information that I found. This is not made by me, but I found it interesting just to show today. So here says critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process that results in guide to belief and action. Right? So thinking is a process, an intellectually disciplined process that it is directed to guide to belief and action. So this is very important. And as it is critical, let me see. I think that here we have these ones. Yes, this is the slide that I want to show. We have here these processes. So if you pay attention, or if you can see here, uh, on the left, we have the higher level mental processes: conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, evaluating. Those are processes that, according to Bloom, belongs to the higher level. But it says that to fulfill these ones, or to reach these processes, we have to do other processes that are lower in the lower level. So observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication. So if we pay attention when we are teaching a language, or when we are teaching anything, we can do these lower level processes easily, right? So the idea of implementing this critical thinking, or to promoting this critical thinking, starts also from the idea of promoting the lower level processes. Observation is one of the processes that it is underestimated. Many teachers don't pay attention to the observation. And observation is very important in order to be able to describe, or to be able to identify, right? So those kind of processes are very connected. If we observe, describe, and identify, maybe we can analyze, or maybe we can conceptualize. So those are things that we can get through a series of procedures or a series of experiences that we can have in the class in order our students to start doing those kind of things, right? So critical thinking is not the problem of egocentric thinking. So it doesn't lead to self-serving perspectives and evaluation. It doesn't lead to a false sense of objectivity. It doesn't lead to flow thinking. Flowed. This is perfect. And it doesn't lend itself to the unconscious substitution of subjectivity intuition for the intellectual standards in thinking. So this is kind of philosophical here. However, it is not that the student is not going to create their own concept. The student is going to discover and try to think and try to start using this a higher level mental processes, right? Okay, this is not important. And here, there is the issue. So we want to foster an awareness that critical thinking is more than thinking. It is reflecting upon, questioning, monitoring. So there are some aspects in order to include the critical thinking in our classes that has to lead to our students to reflect upon something, something that is real. If we connected this with the communicative approach, so we can see or we can understand now that we have to use real situations, real aspects to start reflecting upon. Or if we connect this with the interculturality, that it is a suggestion that I gave to Rafael in his lesson plan or in his from the video, right? I gave him this suggestion to use interculturality. If we use interculturality, remember that the interculturality is not just to teach culture, is to make our students aware first of their own culture, how our own culture works, and then understand the others and start establishing that dialogue in order to connect the two cultures and try to see why the other behaves in a different way and why the others needs deserve respect just because of the way they are acting. Yeah. So because it is a system of beliefs that we have, so we can reflect upon those things. And we can do both things at the same time, critical thinking and interculturality. Yes, I'm going to give you an example. Uh, Imagine that we are talking about Indian culture or Indians, people from India. So we see that Indian people, uh, they eat with their hands. From our perspective, many of us eating with the hand or the bare hand is not appropriate, right? However, if we go deeper on the culture and if we try to understand why they use that, and we try to understand why do we use forks or spoons instead of our hands, we can interconnect those ideas and start understanding and start like respecting the other, right? So in that sense, we are promoting both things. Critical thinking, because we are reflecting upon, we are using, observing, analyzing, we are doing other kind of processes or mental processes, and we are using interculturality because we are trying to have our students aware that the others have a system of values that are not just visible, but there are a system of values that we have to respect and to understand, right? We have to understand the others. Yeah. So I don't know if you have questions so far because I have talked a lot and I haven't listened to you. Is it clear what I am trying to explain here? Hello? Can you listen?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Oh, thanks God. You are here. Okay. So what do you think about that? Do you think that it is possible to do it in class, taking into account your population, the population you're working with? Do you think that it is possible?
Yes, teacher, I think that is possible, but I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if in my case, because it's on a small group and they it's not there is not an difference. How do you say that? I don't know how to
Say it in Spanish.
conditions or sorry.
Backgrounds?
Yes,
Background?
exactly. It's the same. It's the same culture. It's the same life. So maybe introduce other cultures in class. For example, that you say in about from Indian or
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know, maybe
I'm going to ask you
Japan
something,
or
Sarah.
United States.
Before you continue, I'm going to ask you something. What was the video about the video that you uploaded and that you showed your students? What was that video about?
Uh, sorry. The second video was about how to create anime using present perfect.
No, no, no.
Because
The video that you
or
uploaded.
what
Let me see.
what are you talking about? The second class?
Yeah, the second class.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
but let
asked
me
for
see.
that.
Let me see.
It's about how to create an email.
Sarah, but the jury is, I think, is telling you that the video that you upload to the forum
To the
is
forum, yes.
about a park, something like that.
Ah, okay, the Tamarindos Park.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So,
What is
okay, the idea it was that my students run me an email from there. Imagine that they were in this place and they run me an email telling me about what activities they were doing there in that moment, that in a specific moment.
Yeah. Okay. Where is this
The
park?
idea so and I wanted to show you all my students and you what is this park
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
what else
But my question is, where is this park? In which
in
place?
Rio Negro is close to Rio Negro,
Do
Medellin.
you live there?
No, I never have been there, only my students.
Your students have been there.
Yes.
Do you think that people in Rio Negro, because they are paisas, do you think that they behave or they have different customs from the ones that we have or from the ones that you have?
I don't know, maybe some in food maybe or another things, but I feel or I think that paisas is the same in everywhere.
Yes,
The
paisas are the
culture
same.
paisa. Yes.
But where are you from?
Uh-huh. Close to Medellin, Itagüí.
You are from, okay, and your students, where do they live?
Here in La Estrella, it's close to Itagüí to Medellin.
Okay, right. So anyway, when we use these kind of videos, you could use another video from another city or from other kind of culture. We could see that there are some differences culturally speaking. So it is not necessary only to focus on the foreign culture, but we can focus also on this culture as well. Okay, maybe my example was not that suitable, but for me, I could use this video in order to show other kind of ways, other kind of being, other kind of thinking or behaving because they belong to another culture, different from mine, right? So my point is that it is not interculturality doesn't it is not related only to understand the foreign culture. Interculturality has also to do with understanding our own culture and the cultures that we are around. I mean, that are around us. Sorry, right? For example, many people has worked on trying to make this dialogue between Aboriginal or native cultures from the regions to our culture. That it is our a culture is like another kind of vision. We have other kind of vision. So that's how interculturality can work in our context as well, right? So the thing is that you have to start
Teacher,
thinking beyond. Yes,
teacher, I want to say something.
say.
Okay, while you were talking, I was like thinking because in my school, for example, we try to work a lot in these kind of skills, the thinking skills, I mean, critical thinking skills. And actually, I don't know, yeah, I am agree with you when you said that it's also when we try to understand like different cultures, but actually is also related with different opinions. When you are allowed to work in a group, to listen to your classmates
Yeah.
opinions, for example, when we work on debates, on role plays, or when we are analyzing something, for example, when I put a video and my students start giving their opinions, like that, it's a way to work this kind of critical thinking. They are like expressing their ideas, they are like asking questions, they are like, I don't know, like interacting with the material that we give to them. And this is like the way that they are learning, the way that they are building like different, not only cognitive like material, I don't know how to say that, not only like the cognitive part, but actually how to act as a person, how to work in group, how to understand my classmates or my
Mhm.
friend, how to interact with nature, like all this. It's like giving a student a group of abilities so they can develop in the society. I don't
Yes,
know if
that's
I'm
true.
making myself clear.
No, yes, it is true, and I agree with you. The point is, okay, maybe don't misunderstand me. I am not saying that those kind of things or the activities that you are doing are not related to critical thinking.
Hmm.
The thing is that sometimes we take into okay, like uh, we take critical thinking in a very superficial way, but as you say,
Yeah.
it is
Hmm.
very important to involve the students in communication and those kind of things, especially because when they are involved in kind of debates or kind of discussions like this, they are doing these processes of critical thinking that is analyzing, evaluating, reflecting upon, so those kind of things. But the point, okay, my point is that we can use also the interculturality in order to work with them, to make them see others, even in our classroom. We can make them see others with the respect they deserve. I mean, like interacting equally. Yeah, it is just my point because I want to you to understand this point of view that it is kind of uh, important in our
Hmm.
profession nowadays as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Hmm.
Okay, because what you said is perfect as
Hmm.
well, right? Having the students
Okay.
working together and everything. Okay, I
Yep.
don't know if you have any other question related to this critical thinking or this interculturality that I am talking about. Okay, good. Okay, so if we continue here, this in here, I'm going to continue, but with this, we are going to finish this with this quote that I found it interesting. This comic strip. So it says, "I teach my kids that these things are right and these things are wrong. period. End of story. Wouldn't that teach them to believe anything they are told without applying any critical thinking? I don't think about that. So what is the implication of this comic? What is happening, or what is the message of this comic? And taking into
Uh,
account the examples, yes?
I don't know. I'll say like a super fast comment that we have to take the critical thinking like I'll say like the most important part of our classes, because this is the way that we are giving tools to our students to teach them or to guide them like to I don't know how to develop different skills to understand and to be able to move and to live in a society.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's like the way we are giving them tools to, yeah,
To make
no sé,
decisions as well.
yeah, to make decisions, but like not to believe in everything they
Yes,
listen to. They
very
have
good.
to take into account, I don't know, their reflections and what is happening around them. Like they have to use all these kind of tools and abilities to understand and to do like important things.
Yes, very good. Yeah, because here the man was saying, I teach them what to think, right? What things are right, what things are wrong. So children cannot be able to evaluate by themselves. So they cannot choose. They don't have any option to choose what they want, right? But with critical thinking, as you were saying, Carolina, we can promote that idea for, or no, it is not an idea, that ability in our students to make decisions based on what they believe, on what they think.
And the possibility
Exactly.
that they explore
Yes,
or confirm the theory, the theory or
the
the
theories.
other things.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yes, very good, very good. Because most of the time we were taught to think or to believe in certain things. Yes, and that's the truth, and the truth is just one, and we cannot discuss about that. But sometimes we can do it. Okay. So even with the theory about languages, it is the same. We can discuss it. Okay, this is not the last word. We can criticize them. We can make a different option. We can take different options from what we are learning or what we are doing here. Okay, so when we talk about methods, there is not only one method, and the methods are not the ones that, okay, the methods are not designed for everybody, so we can criticize them. Yes, when we talk about learning strategies as well. And when we teach,
Teacher,
oh, yes,
I would like to ask you something about the quote. I don't know. I was thinking about it. Does it have to do also with the way we assess our students?
we
I
what?
don't
Sorry.
know. We assess or evaluate. I don't
Mm,
know. For example, self-assessment or something like that, because
yes.
uh, it is common that always teachers in class they evaluate and they don't use, for example, self-assessment, where students can like analyze
Yeah.
what they are doing wrong. And it is common that teachers always in the classroom say this is right, this is wrong, according to language. Yes, according to grammatical structures, according to, well, well, I was thinking about it and I was wondering if this have to do with this.
Yes, I like your comment because I found
So
it certain.
does it have to do with this also, the quote?
Yes, it could be
Ah,
also,
okay.
right?
Okay.
Because when you do that, Okay, when you do that, it's like a contradiction. Maybe, okay, a contradiction if you are promoting critical thinking and you evaluate your students just through static learning or static knowledge, right? They cannot create or they cannot criticize or they cannot give their opinions about something. So I agree with you. I agree with you in that aspect. Yeah. So as
Thank you.
I was telling you, um, you teachers also have to be very critical on what we are doing as a teacher, as you are showing me, right? I wanted to introduce also this topic of learning strategies just to explain a little bit more about other things that we need to start implementing. I know that there are many things that we have to work on the classes, but from the perspective of developing the cognitive skills, we have to start working also on learning strategies. Basically, because our students, the generation in which we are working or with who we are working with, is a generation that is very different from ours. They are learned in different ways. So we have to start promoting this learning or these strategies that are going to help them to learn. So I want to ask you first, what is a learning strategy? What is a learning strategy? Wilton, what do you say?
Well, teacher, I would say that is how can we support some our classes? How can we make students learn something? Sorry, let me turn down the volume. Please, so and how we're gonna make or we're gonna help them to to, to, to learn something because as you
Uh-huh.
were saying, they don't learn in the same way. They have many different to learn now. As I am, I'm thinking they're more proactive. But if we don't generate some spaces where they can express themselves, where they can to take some resources,
Mhm.
they they won't improve.
Very good. But I want to ask you something. I'm going to ask you, I mean, everybody, what is a strategy?
Okay.
Just a strategy.
I think it's something, or it's the way you use um,
Okay.
for helping your class
Okay,
or
but don't pay attention to
develop
classes.
learning.
It's a general question, not a strategy,
Okay.
right? Remember that a
For
strategy. Sorry for the dog. Sorry.
oh, it's okay.
Can we?
Yes, continue, please. Carolina, you were talking.
No, I was going to say that for me, an strategy is also like a process that I use or that I follow to accomplish something, like to yeah to
Mhm.
get like to go to get a goal. I don't know, like
Yes.
yeah, it's like a process.
Right. Very good. And actually, it is like a plan, more like a process.
Okay. Hmm.
Because remember that strategy is a word that comes from war. So the army uses strategies, right? So it is like a plan to think in advance how I'm going to proceed. It is not a
Okay.
procedure as well, right? So it's to think in advance. So
Yeah.
now we have the other word that it is learning, but we have also another word that could be teaching. So do you think that there are teaching strategies? Are there teaching strategies?
Mm,
No.
I would
Yes.
say that
No. I would say that no.
Yes, there are teaching strategies. If we think about the strategy as the procedure that we are planning in order to do something or to get the goal, we have the strategy or we have the teaching strategies. And what Wilton was talking about a few minutes ago were teaching strategies. Who developed the teaching strategies?
the
The
students,
pedagogos,
Here.
eh,
Yes, no, I mean, don't create, but develop. The
okay,
teacher.
the teacher.
The teacher used teaching strategies to teach, right? Now,
So, teacher, do you mean that we are using the strategies and we are put them on way to help the students? But I got confused when you say that if we are teaching or we are creating or we are doing a
okay,
strategy.
anyway, you can create a strategy and you are using the strategy, right? Because the strategy is planned before and then you put into action that
Ah,
strategy.
okay, okay, teacher, I got it.
But
So,
anyway, in that process, you, because you are the teacher, that's the teacher teaching strategy. Is the strategy that you use to teach. But now, if we pay attention to the title on the screen, it says learning strategies. Who are the ones who learn?
students, or both.
Students.
students,
In this
or
case,
both.
students. Let's say students. Yes, I know that it
Mhm.
is both, but let us be more specific in this case that it is students who are learning. So who are the ones that need to use, sorry, the learning strategies? The teacher or the student?
Students.
Very good.
Yeah.
The problem with the learning strategies is that sometimes, and most of the times, teachers think that they are teaching strategies, not learning strategies. So if a learning strategy is something that the students need to use to learn, what is the duty of the teacher?
We have to focus that on students.
Yes, and we have to teach them how to use them, right? How to use them.
Yeah.
Yes. So this idea of learning strategies is to have our students better or aware of how they learn. Okay? So this is the idea of the learning strategy, right? So if we pay attention here, it says good language learner. It is not good language teacher, good language learner. So a good language learner is willing and accurate guessers who have a strong desire to communicate, even appear full. Attend to both meaning and form of their message and practice and monitor their own speech as well as others. So this is the good language learner, maybe. This is the kind of learners that we want. It says also, in order to maximize good language learners' potential and contribute to their autonomy, they need training in learning strategies. So as I was telling you, we have to teach them how to use the learning strategies on their own because the learning strategies is for our students. So learning strategies training includes or implies that our students learn strategies in order to improve their learning effectiveness, right? So let me see here. We have some principles. Teacher's job, is not only to teach language, but learn. Okay, we are not teaching just the language. We are teaching how to learn. Strategies should not be taught in isolation, but rather as part of the content area of language curriculum. So it is not a class just devoted to language strategies. It must be part, little by little, on the process. Help learners continue to learn after completing formal study of the target language. We are going to see some strategies, and maybe we are using those strategies and our students are using those strategies. So the first strategy, or the first group of strategy, according to Chamot, that it is one of the writers about the strategy, is the metacognitive strategies. When we talk about metacognition, what are we talking about? What is metacognition?
I think that when students are aware about what they are learning, something like that.
Yes. Remember that this metacognition is to understand how we learn, how we understand, okay? Like their self-reflective process, yeah? So in order to help them to understand or to be conscious of their learning, we can use these strategies that we have here. We can ask them to use to plan, monitor, and evaluate learning tasks themselves. This is something that Rafael mentioned before, and it is part of a strategy. They can monitor themselves. They can see if they are learning or not, so they can evaluate themselves. They can arrange the conditions that help one to learn. So this metacognitive strategy, it sounds very logic, but Chamot explains this in terms of the space, for example. We have to teach our students that they need a very light space, a space with that they can see clearly, a chair that could be comfortable, a very big space in order to have all the materials they need. Right? This is a part of the cognitive strategies, and we can start working on that at school. And I think that some of you work on that without knowing that this is a metacognitive strategy, but maybe we are using this. We can start asking them to set long and short-term goals. What do they want to learn and when? Right? So those are the goals that they can state or set. Check students' comprehension during listening or reading. But this is something that they have to realize little by little. I mean, they can control or monitoring these kind of things, right? Yes, these are metacognitive strategies, but there are also cognitive strategies, and cognitive strategies has to do, they have to do with the way they are going to be able to understand the topic itself, right? As we are talking about language, we can be sure that learners interact and manipulate what it is to be learned. For example, replaying a word or phrase mentally to listen to it again, right? So it is a cognitive strategy. It's a strategy that they can use in order to memorize, or maybe to be conscious of the sound of the word, or to be conscious of the meaning of the word. So replaying a word or phrase mentally. Learn a new word by associating with a familiar word by creating a visual image. So using imagery, it's very useful. Maybe you have used imagery most of the time. So it's a cognitive strategy. It's another thing that they can use. For example, the use of Pictionaries, but not the Pictionaries that are printed, but the Pictionaries that the students create. This could be a cognitive strategy. as well for our students.
Flashcards also, no?
If they create the flashcards also, or if they use the flashcards in order to learn. But remember that this strategy is something that we have to teach them how to do it when they are not with the teacher, or when they are with the teacher, but most of the time on their own, autonomous,
Okay, thank you.
autonomous, because the focus
Teacher,
on here is of autonomy. Yes.
when the students work in a project-based learning, they are using all the time cognitive strategies.
Mister, they don't use cognitive strategies if you don't teach them how to use them, right? This is
Okay.
nothing. I mean, the point of this explanation is not to show you that they use this, but to show you the possibilities of strategies that you can teach them how to use or what to use during their learning process, right? So the metacognitives, in order they to evaluate, the cognitives in order they to learn, and the social-affective strategies also to control their feelings. Because when we have our students, for example, I don't know, doing a presentation in front of many people, maybe they cannot control some feelings. Or something that happened to me when I started my major at university is that I couldn't speak when a recorded was in front of me. When somebody was recording me, I couldn't speak. So this is something that was affecting my feelings, right? So the social affective strategies are those that we can teach our students in order to manage these kind of situations, right? So for example, create situations to practice the target language, use self-talk to think positively, and talk oneself through a difficult task, and cooperate or work with others to share information, obtain feedback, and complete a task. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to have my they are not mine, but okay. The dogs quiet. Very noisy. Okay, so those are the three kind of strategies, or the three groups of strategies that we can have: the metacognitive, the cognitive, and the social affective strategies. What happens with the strategy is that when the strategy becomes repetitive and the students implement this strategy very often, the strategy is going to become a skill, right? So it is going to be easier and automatic. So automaticity is going to happen in that moment. So this is something that is going to happen if we make this repetitive. Yeah. For example, that strategy that is cognitive, that we have to teach them that they can use or they can repeat the word in their minds many times in order to remember. It is going to be automatic at a certain point. And in that moment, it is going to become a skill. And it is going to help them to learn easily when they are in other kind of situations which they can deal with the language. It is going to be useful for them, right? So, like the conclusion for this thing is that we have to use, or we have to teach our students these strategies and we can implement also the critical thinking and the interculturality competence, intercultural competence in our classes, right? I don't know if you have a comment or any final comment before stopping off, before finishing the class, or any question. I don't know if you have.
No, teacher, I think that everything is clear.
No, teacher, I don't have questions.
Very, thank you. Remember something. What we discuss here is not something that you need to implement mandatory. It's for you to reflect and to see what you can use. Okay.
Yes, teacher, but
Okay.
Okay.
all the things you are saying that you are teaching us are important to keep in mind when
Yeah.
we are developing a class, because sometimes we only, or in my case, I just sometimes just think about how to develop it, but without thinking on these other things that you were saying today. Thank you for that.
Yeah, the thing is, Wilton, that most of the times when we are studying these majors, we are like taught how to teach all the time, how to teach. But we are not taught about how to have the others learn,
Yes, teacher, that's the point.
right? That's the point. And we have to start working on that. What is the best way they are going to learn? Because remember that at the end of the day, the most important is our students.
Yes, teacher.
It's not,
Thank you.
yeah, that is the like the success of your profession, to have your students well educated, if we can say. Okay, thank you for your comment, Wilton. Very good, thank you. And I have to tell you that I enjoyed your final class.
Okay, teacher.
Your ideas are very nice.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay,
But they, a part of this, they had a good job. They have, I
they
think
did a good
they
job.
very, they have a good time, and they had a good job.
That's the most important. You see, the result at the end if is that they feel that they learned or that they enjoyed the class and it is going to be memorable.
Yes,
That's
teacher.
going to be very good. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
teacher.
much then for the attendance. Um, I think that we have like a couple of classes more. So the video for the class is for this coming Sunday, right? Let me check.
For this weekend is the lesson plan, the third
Ah, the lesson
lesson
plan,
plan.
yes.
And the next week is in the video.
Okay, right. Because we have to do like a final reflection. I mean, like the compilation of the reflections. The idea is that with the last video, you analyze also the videos as we have done it. I mean, when you enter to your own video, analyze and to see what is happening here. I am implementing some things. What do I need to do? What I need to work on? What my students need in order to facilitate their learning and those kind of things. And start working. But more than being critical, I mean, to criticize yourself or to evaluate yourself, I would like you to start reflecting on your development, on your teaching development, right? This is very, very important to reflect, to have a reflective teaching all the time. Yep. So I don't know if I was clear. Maybe next class we can work a little bit more on that, especially because we are very close to the end of our course, of your second teaching practical. Okay? Okay, guys.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you for
teacher, thank
your
you.
attendance. There are 3 teachers who didn't come. Two from Cali, and one from Bucaramanga, I think. I don't remember. No, I don't remember where Noemi lives. Okay, so have a good night.
Thank
Remember,
you, teacher.
okay, sorry. I have a question. But this is